What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the AI Download. We are your weekly recap of what's happening in the world of AI so you can keep up with all of it. And let me tell you, there is a lot. I'm your host, Shira Lazar. I'm the CEO and founder of What's Trending, and I've been covering digital culture since Nyan Cat. You know that cute cat in the rainbow? I mean, if you don't know, then Google it, okay? It's a figure of the past. It's an archive, historic figure of the past. Just like me. A huge thank you to our series sponsor, Hivelighter. They're your AI powered reading assistant, bringing you smart, personalized insights so you can spend less time scrolling and more time doing. And coming up on our show, are we getting smarter or just letting AI do the thinking for us? New research reveals surprising effects on our brains. Plus, landmark copyright cases heading to court that could change how AI companies train their models forever. And guess what? Today I'm announcing something new. We'll be breaking up our long episodes into two shorter ones weekly. So at the beginning of the week, I'll be bringing you the top 5 AI headlines of the week that you need to pay attention to. And later in the week, I'll be bringing you interviews with influential experts and leaders in AI, which I love. We're doing this because we are always evolving here so we can see what's working, basically. This is new. And if you have any feedback for us or recommendations, please let me know. You can message me on all social media. I'm very easy to access at Shira Lazar. Okay. I wish you could message me through a podcast. It's just not possible yet. But hey, maybe that's a tech startup that one of you can figure out. With that, let's get into the top 5 AI headlines for this week. So this is from the New York Times. Professors are using ChatGPT and some students aren't happy about it. This is from the article. Students call it hypocritical. A senior at Northeastern University demanded her tuition back, but instructors say generative AI tools make them better at their jobs. I mean, come on. When we had Sandy Carter on our show, she spoke about a school actually using AI and adapting the education for the needs of the kids there and taking the rest of the time because this actually saved time to teach them other important skills like emotional intelligence and critical thinking. Really important things this day and age that we are actually losing. Okay. The fact is, education is going to change how students learn, how teachers teach, all of it. And the fact is that teaching and teachers, they're barely paid enough. We know this, and they don't have enough resources to do the work they need to do. So I just think throw them a bone, okay? Let them use AI. If you're mad at the education system, that's the thing to blame. Blaming the teachers, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. That's what I think. And, social media is agreeing with me actually. On Facebook, where I saw this article, a bunch of people were replying. And I think some of these comments really kind of are giving us some insight as to how we should be looking at this. Abigail Torres writes, professors use AI to make their class material better, not worse. The fact of the matter is that there aren't enough hours of the day for a professor to do all our work. We do more than teach. We are admins, counselors, committee members, researchers, advisors. So we use AI to streamline certain tasks so we can have time to be better instructors. And there's another one from this person, Nicolas Huerta Vasquez. I want to give people credit where credit's due. Okay, so this person says, as a professor, I encourage my students to use AI as a cognitive tool as they will use it anyway. For that reason, I've also changed my evaluation methods to include more oral assessments to validate their understanding. So it seems we're having a bit of a clash here. Teachers and educators are worried about students using AI and what that means for learning. And in the end, if you're if you don't care about your class, and this is post high school, of course, but if you're paying this much to get a degree, a master's, I don't know, PhD in anything, I'm hoping you're not using necessarily AI to get through your PhD, because then it's like, why are you even wasting your time? But then, yeah, maybe question why you're studying this. Maybe you're not actually interested in learning it. If you're just going to, cut the corners. And I do think for younger students, we're going to have to figure out ways to get them to learn outside of AI. Use it to support customizing education, but figuring out how to actually get people to learn this day and age is going to be critical because, and we'll get into this later on in the headlines, we're getting dumber. Just say Idiocracy is coming. Okay, let's move on to the next headline from The Guardian. The death of creativity, AI job fears stock advertising industry. WPP, which is an ad agency, and others roll out AI generated campaigns as Facebook owner Meta plans to let firms create their own ads. And this has led the WPP chief Mark Reed to step down as the agency battles AI. We actually touched on this in the last episode where we had on a CEO of an AI production company. They created a commercial for Coke over the holidays, including AI. And of course, that created a lot of controversy. It was innovative and disruptive, but a lot of people said it was soulless. The question is, can AI basically create culture? Because I guess that's what advertising did. Advertising wasn't for just capitalism, it created culture, which this is the irony of it all. But I do get the frustration, and it's emphasized in this article. It says over more than a decade, Google and the Facebook owner Meta successfully built tech tools for publishers and ad buyers that help them to dominate online. And this is true. If you're in the marketing advertising world, you know that Meta is probably one of the only platforms that do it well, conversions, etc. The problem is when now Mark Zuckerberg wants to take over everything, including making the ads, because basically then you're cutting out the middleman, you're cutting out the folks that were actually paying you, right? And this is going to impact a lot of folks. I think this will help small businesses because guess what? You weren't hiring these big agencies, you weren't hiring these big teams. So that's where it creates more access. And this is the great thing about AI. And yes, it will cut out some other folks who were the people just like pressing buttons and figuring out, I guess, like what's the ROI on this? Like AI will be able to do that. The people with the ideas won't necessarily be cut out. The people that were just being led by the people with ideas and told what to do might be. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. But Meta wants to take over all of it with AI. And so now these agencies are also freaking out. They're the ones that were going to be firing a lot of people, but still, I guess, sticking around. But now this is putting their, I guess, existence in jeopardy also. But as mentioned, the reason why I brought up the last episode where it was brought up, advertising at scale, this is what Meta will help. Brands will still need agencies to build out their holistic brand, their aesthetic, their go-to market plan, strategy across social media and other platforms for now, right? Till it just sucks all of our brain out of us, all of our ideas. And I do think that's the case in the end. Like it's gonna help with those nitty gritty pushes out to Meta. Like if you could be changing a campaign in real time instead of hiring someone like right now, someone like me would hire someone on Fiverr or hire an individual probably at a discount because I don't have a lot of money. So if Meta could help with that, great. Make it easy to test things out so I could make more money with my product, which means I could either have more profit or hire more people and do more things and reinvest. I mean, that's helpful, right? So this is the reality of that. And it's causing, if a company like WPP, which is top dog, if they're sounding the alarm and that person who was overseeing AI is now stepping down, it is worrisome. But again, I'm always about the positivity or the optimism opportunity here. There will be an opportunity in all of this, but you will need to figure it out for yourself, right? Because the fact is the biggest household name advertisers, there's too much brand risk. And this also came from the article and handing over the full creative process to AI still because it does not have the capability to take and make top quality ads right now. Okay. I also think this is a reality. There will be a bit of a backlash from the next generation of brand builders, not necessarily millennials, me, not Gen Z, but Gen Alpha. They do not like these big companies. They don't want to rely on Meta for everything like this because there's too much ownership coming from one brand and company. So while they're trying to do all this stuff, and guess what? It will work. There will be not just a bit of backlash, but an active attempt at moving outside of Meta. There's also the question of, with Meta bringing everything in house, are they just becoming a monopoly? They will be brought to Congress. They are being questioned about this already, but nothing ends up happening, including with the administration that we're in. It's going to be about less regulation. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the next few years, one, to get ahead in terms of AI and the global economy, Mark Zuckerberg's going to announce a lot and try to push forward as much as possible over the next few years where he won't be questioned and under attack. Just saying. And speaking of Meta, this is our next headline coming from Bloomberg. Meta is set to throw billions at startup that leads AI data market. Scale uses an army of contractors to label the data that tech firms such as Meta and OpenAI use to train and improve their AI models, and helps companies make custom AI applications. And I guess this is a good thing. This comes from the article. They're enlisting PhDs, nurses, and other experts with advanced degrees to help develop more sophisticated models. So other people are getting jobs from it, new jobs from AI. Yay. You're talking about a lot of jobs being taken and the fear behind that, which is basically, it seems like every episode. I'm sorry, but it's the reality, even with all my optimism. But I do love how they break this down in the article that three pillars of AI are chips, talent, and data. And scale is a dominant player in the last of those, which is talent and data. NVIDIA is big on the chips. So Meta is in talks to make a multi-billion-dollar investment. The financing may exceed 10 billion in valuation, making it one of the largest private company funding events of all time. The startup was valued at around 14 billion in 2024. Just a year later, that is wild. And yeah, this is happening. And I think it's important. What's important to understand about this headline is that AI isn't just Sam Altman and OpenAI. There are other players. Okay. Scale is one of them, Scale AI. Perplexity is another. And that's looking to be the AI integration for Apple and Samsung. So there will be huge value in these other companies as well, not just OpenAI. Next headline from the Associated Press. This story is juicy. Getty Images and Stability AI face off in British copyright trial that will test AI industry. So Getty Images is facing off against this AI company, Stability AI, in London. And this is the first major copyright trial of the generative AI industry. Stability is based in London, and they own a widely used AI image making tool that sparked a lot of enthusiasm for how it just instantly created AI images of artwork and photorealistic images. It was released in August 2022. And then, of course, OpenAI introduced ChatGPT 3 months later. And OpenAI has done some amazing stuff as well with image generation. That said, it seems with this one that stability is in focus here. Because they're arguing fair use. A lot of tech companies do this, or fair dealing legal doctrines in the US and the UK. And they're saying that because of this, it allows them to train their AI systems on these large amounts of data of writings or images. We, of course, know that the idea of fair use wasn't meant to be for this. Like, I'm in the news, my company, what's trending? When we're reporting about something and we use a quick news clip or a reference, that is fair use, even though that is even fought sometimes, to be honest. This use of fair use when you're crawling the internet and basically training your tool on someone else's content, mass amounts of that, not fair use. Getty, this image library company, they have images and video, the largest in the world. Actually, we use Shutterstock, but I guess Shutterstock and Getty just merged. They were the first to challenge this. And they're basically saying this is a clear copyright issue and we can work together, AKA pay us money, give us a licensing fee. Stability's argument, as I touched on, they're saying, and maybe they're navigating fair use, but this quote is ridiculous. They claim that it represents an overt threat to Stability's whole business in the wider generative AI industry. Like, cry me a river. See my small violin? You're basically saying I should feel bad because your business is going to be hit if you need to pay folks for what you took? What about all these other businesses that you're basically taking from, people losing their jobs? Like, what a horrible, what lawyer actually thought this was a good quote to have out in public? They also said, of course, the case doesn't belong in the United Kingdom because the training of the AI model technically happened elsewhere on computers running in the US by Amazon, which I thought this was interesting because, of course, wouldn't they want to be tried in the US? Because the US has no rules and laws around AI use right now. Duh, surprise, surprise. The UK is known for being more anal. Sorry, I used that word. They're being they regulate AI, and so they know they're probably going to be hit by in the UK more likely than in the US. The company also argues, really bad lawyer here, that quote only a tiny proportion of the random outputs of its AI image generator look at all similar. It's only a tiny. So yes, bad excuse. Clearly, they're probably going to have to pay up. And, already media companies like the New York Times, New York Daily News, and the Authors Guild have filed lawsuits that have moved forward against OpenAI, not Stability. These are two different companies. And media companies like Associated Press, Financial Times have gone into licensing deals with OpenAI. So I think this is the course of action. I could see them continuing to fight against this, but they might as well get into a licensing deal at this point. It's not worth it. They're not going to win. I don't think they're going to win. But we'll stay up to date on this story. It's going to be a few weeks until there's a response or it moves forward, but we'll definitely stay close to it. Keep you updated. And finally, from salon.com, I tease this a bit. We're offloading mental tasks to AI. It could be making us stupid. This is where my brain farts come from. I just want to chat GPT it, or first it was, I want to Google it. Now I just want to chat GPT everything. Okay. So from the article, whether we lose some of the skills artificial intelligence performs for us largely depends on how we use this tech. So one survey conducted estimating that more than half of Americans have used Copilot, ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude. So half of us are using these tools. And research examining how these programs affect users is limited, obviously because they're new, but some early studies suggest they're already impacting our brains. I don't know why I laugh at this. It's just like, is this surprising? Uh, Please tell me you've seen this. I don't know. Some of you, like, I feel like with social media, with my phone, I've less focus these days than I did in the past. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. It feels like I'm on the spectrum these days. And it feels like it's because of this I'm holding up my phone, and I know I'm not alone. And back to this, it's just really fascinating. These studies show that while these tools help us to be more efficient, as we know, the more that workers reported trusting AI's ability to perform tasks for them, the more their critical thinking was reduced. Again, not surprising considering where we are in this world with critical thinking, reason. But this is scary because if AI also is going to make it so there's a lot that's, not real, we're going to have to be able to figure that out ourselves. And if we don't have a critical thinking, this is a recipe for disaster. And according to this article, this is leading to a term called cognitive offloading. And we already do this when we make our shopping or to-do list, put an event in the calendar. But when we do it at the level we're doing it with AI, it is linked to worse memory, right? Which means that we could do all these tasks on AI or even Googling it, but doesn't mean we'll actually remember what we did. We can output it, it's not staying in our brains. So it's like fake smart. We could pretend to be smart, but are we actually smart? And again, this brings up a lot of questions. We talked about learning before and the education system. It's going to impact the process of learning, what we need to retrieve and process information, what happens when we take certain parts out of that process. And does it make us smarter or more stupid? And it seems like if we don't take action, this could make us more stupid. There are so many amazing, sorry, I'm like kind of trying to recap this article. There are so many amazing studies they reference that really point to access to information doesn't necessarily create more interconnectivity in our brain. And that leads to issues with memory, attention, and creativity. So basically, don't just rely on tech, y'all. You know, the commercial it was in the 90s. This is your brain on drugs. In the future, it will be this is your brain on LLMs. Might be the drug of the future. So move forward with caution. Protect your brain health. We're already doing this, or it's being promoted on social media, the wellness industry, but that includes tech, your relationship with tech. It is a drug. So do things to build your brain muscles, improve your memory without, well, it is oddly enough, there are apps for that will probably use AI to help you, but try to get off the tech, back outside into nature. I guess that's my lesson from this AI episode. Shira's lessons, touch grass. And those were your 5 AI headlines for this week. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I really loved learning with all of you. Thanks again to our series sponsor, Hivelighter. You've got to check out the AI download collection. I talked about so many great articles in this. Well, it's so easy to find them. We've curated them all in this link, so it's just easy to follow from this episode and previous episodes. So go check that out. Click the Hivelighter link in our show notes to get smarter. And thanks also to Muso Media for producing and editing this series. Check them out at musomedia.com. If you love this episode, subscribe, rate, and share it. Please, it helps me keep growing the show independently. We've got so much more coming your way, so see you next time on AI Download.